Every Friday, people across the country put on red for one reason: to honor the women and men who left the comfort of home so we can live freely. These shirts are not about politics. They are not about a war. They are not about religion. They are about gratitude. They are about respect. They are about remembering everyone deployed. When you purchase one, you help us launch the Come Together Compass, a program built to guide families and heroes to the support that they need. Wear your pride, wear your gratitude, support Red Friday. Remember everyone deployed.
Life hits fast. Crisis doesn't wait, and too many families face hardship alone. But what if one community, one movement, could guide people from crisis to stability and finally home? The Come Together Compass was created for one reason: no one should face hardship alone. Families are overwhelmed, nonprofits are stretched thin, businesses want to help but don't know where to start. Resources exist, but they're scattered, confusing, and hard to access. The purpose of the Come Together Compass is simple: to guide people from crisis to stability by uniting the community around them. The compass removes confusion, connects families to real help, gives businesses a meaningful way to give back, and builds a culture where compassion is the norm. At the heart of the compass is a belief: when we work together, we guide people home. Home isn't just a place, it's safety, it's support, it's knowing someone cares enough to walk with you through the storm. The North Pillar is physical needs, providing real, immediate help: food, clothing, household essentials, transportation, emergency resources. When crisis hits, people don't need a maze, they need a map. The compass gives them a clear path to support. The East Pillar is emotional needs, because hardship isn't just physical. People need connection, encouragement, and strength. The compass offers peer support, check-ins, and mental wellness resources. Help that feels human, not transactional. The South Pillar is community connection, building long-term stability. The compass links families to nonprofits, business partners, volunteers, and community events. This is how crisis becomes stability, and stability becomes empowerment. And the West Pillar is the promise of the compass, the commitment that no one will be left behind. Every family will be met with dignity. Every partner will be valued. Every act of kindness will guide someone closer to home. The compass serves families and individuals facing hardship, nonprofits who want to collaborate, businesses who want to give back, donors and volunteers who want to make a real impact. The compass matters because people are struggling silently, because resources are scattered, because good people want to help but don't know where to start, because community should mean something. This is more than a program. It is a beacon, a guide, a promise. Join the movement, support a family, partner with the compass. Help us guide people home.
Hi friends, it's me, Barry, and today I get to share something truly special with you. Our friends at Dignified Dementia have given us a beautifully crafted fleece-lined blanket. It is soft, it is comforting, it is made with the kind of care that reminds every family they are not alone, and that is only the beginning. We have also been gifted a powerful and magical book set from Erin Anatavi, complete with a hand-painted wand she designed herself. It honors the truth that one size does not fit all. On May 6th, we will spin the wheel of giving. Every dollar you donate is one placement on the wheel. $1, one chance, one act of kindness that helps us bring the Come Together Compass to life. Your support guides families to the help they need. Your generosity keeps our mission moving forward. Your kindness makes you a hero in someone's story. So join me. Donate today. Let's fill the wheel of giving and bring comfort, magic, and hope to families everywhere.
Born into a real fight wasn't right. Where can she dream here? Took a hold of her life, left at night, stepping out of her fear. Bring me home, out alone.
Hey everybody, we are very, very excited for this. We are going to be introducing some new shows this year. Extremely excited about that. And one of these new shows is with our good friend and our brand new partner in the Giving Partner program, which means anytime that you go and talk to Aviva and you meet with Aviva and you do one of the tapping sessions or the Imago sessions, anything like that. If you send us a copy of the bill of sale, she's going to donate to somebody in need that's asked us for help. So it's a way that you can not only just take care of yourself, but you can take care of others. And this is the best way we found it to do good, is if we can just take everyday business and turn that into a way where we can help others. What's the harm in that? No extra money. But I am thrilled to introduce everyone to our brand new host, Aviva Chansky-Gutman. How are you doing today?
I'm doing very well, Zach. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
You know what? You and I have been talking about this for a little bit, and then we, of course, the week that we want to record, we've got people cooking weird foods and doctors giving weird new information and everything. So it really was kind of a weird week to get this done, but I am very, very glad that we're getting started. Aviva, before we get started, I would like you to take a couple minutes and please explain to people exactly what you are, how this started in your life, and just explain all of the things that you're able to offer to people.
Okay. I am a licensed and trained social worker, master's of social work. In my state of New York, I hold a licensed social work credential, and I also have some certifications that are helpful for certain modalities. I'm certified in Imago relationship therapy, which is a modality of helping people in relationship, not just couples, but anybody in close relationship, trying to have a more connected experience to understand each other more fully. And it's all designed on really partners being present for each other. It not only applies to intimate relationships, family relationships, work relationships, but it has an expanded version called Safe Conversations that I'm also trained in that you can use in work settings, human resource settings, community organizations. So I am certified in that, and I'm also certified in what we're going to discuss on the podcast, emotional freedom techniques, which is also known as tapping in pop culture language. And that is a modality that helps with de-escalating stress in the nervous system and also our immediate response to stress and danger and to traumatic memories. And it's a self-care option that's available to people that can either be independent of doing other methods of taking medication, or it can be in conjunction with if you're on a regime that helps you with your medical or pain or other condition. You can also use tapping as a way to downregulate when you're feeling stressed and tense and escalated. So those are my modalities currently. I'm also a practitioner of logosynthesis. That's another modality in energy psychology that helps unfreeze blocked energy. And that's a very broad term or expression of what that is about. But like EFT, we're working with the life energy system. And most of the things that upset us in our experiences are things we've kept. And technically, we've kept it frozen in our system, which is not just in our mind as a thought. It's about how we've taken it into our body, our energetic system, how we handle something that seems similar when it comes up again. So logosynthesis is through the use of words to request that energy we've taken that doesn't belong to us, we no longer keep, or energy we've given away, we take it back. And it's very much about balance and unfreezing frozen blocks and obstacles. So those are the current modalities I work with, plus, of course, engagement and talking with people, teaching classes. And through my history of social work, I've worked in medical home care, medical hospital care, hospice, palliative care, end of life care. I also do a lot of work with special needs caregivers. I myself am a parent of one special needs adult, among other children that I have. So I do a lot of what using my life to enhance my work and using my work to enhance my life and to also help systems develop programs related to support for caregivers and things like that. So in a nutshell, which is almost impossible to fit it all in, um, that's sort of what I do in a nutshell, which is impossible again, but it's touching upon the areas I can help people with. So thank you for asking that. And I think I can
Yeah,
help in your community because so many people have at least something related to what I just said involved in their experience.
well, I would say that nobody's ever going to define you in one box. I
Hmm.
mean, there's definitely enough information and uh, different practices there that nobody's ever going to put you in a box. So,
Hmm.
you mentioned, and we will get back to everything in a minute, but just a second ago, you did mention the tapping. And
Hmm.
this is the way I'd like to approach this question, that if we take ourselves back to like the 1800s, back in the Old West, and if you were good to go and try to discuss with an old-fashioned cowboy about tapping, he would look at you like you were a witch. Is there like, what do you say to people who think that this is voodoo or hokum or something like that? What do you tell them about tapping and why does it work?
Well, it also depends on their frame of reference. Somebody in that situation, I'm not sure he or she would have been familiar with Chinese medicine, Eastern medicine
Hmm.
philosophies, which have been in practice for thousands of years, not just in the 1800s. And the whole basis for those theories and practices have to do with, again, energy, life energy. And to explain it to someone totally unfamiliar, it is like speaking a different language. And it would mostly have to be sort of discernment of what is the person looking for and how can I help them? And then explaining there is this method. It's very simple to learn and it's very effective to use. And it's a lot of self-administered tapping on pressure points on your body, gentle, non-medicinal. And if they said that sounds weird and hokey, people say that in this day too, when I teach a class
Hmm.
on it, because they're not familiar with it at all, some of the people that arrive to learn about it. And there's some parts to it when you have an extended version of it that involve even things like counting and humming and counting. And that's because the different parts of the brain are being utilized for the purpose of balance in the humming, the counting. There's different parts of the brain trying to sort of go between the sides of the left brain, the right brain, And those exercises in a sequence do help those parts all start to connect and calibrate together. But to explain it to this cowboy, first of all, if he's open to listening, that's wonderful. And if he's needing more information, but there's no internet yet, there are now currently hundreds of research studies about the scientific correlation and research-based information available on websites that I can direct people to learn more about it. So I'm not sure about the 1800s, a cowboy. He may not ask and he may not know how to access what I'm trying to give him as a resource. Do you know any more? Do you
Well,
know any more
you
about this
know,
cowboy?
it actually what I was, what I was kind of thinking of is there are people out there who like to have that old time mentality, and it's they have this thought, well, I don't understand how doing this gentle tapping is going to make me feel better. But if they would really look at it, and one of the truths that we have come to find out, Aviva, and you can probably attest to this, is our brain is an amazing piece of machinery that your brain can do so much healing if
Mhm.
you let it. And there's no other way to continue. If you allow your brain to do what it can do amazing things to help you heal.
Mhm.
And so something as generalized as tapping and doing that, it can do amazing things, but you have to be open for it and you have to be in the moment, right? Would that be a
Well,
good statement there?
when you're practicing tapping rounds and you are doing it in the moment, you are accessing how you're experiencing the energy field that you experience related to a traumatic memory, limiting belief, fear in the future. You are actually, with the help of the guide or clinician like myself, staying in the moment and being walked through the steps about in the moment what you're experiencing, even though it's about possibly something in the past or a fear about the future or a limiting belief about your capacity to do something. You do work in the moment with EFT because that's the nature of how it helps. You're in the moment of your energy experience in remembering something. There's a saying in energy psychology or a question they ask that's sort of a little bit of a way to introduce people to it. You'll say, especially at workshops we have, at conferences, does the past affect the present? So what do you think, Zach? Do you think the past affects the present?
Oh yeah. Um I think the past, I think everything around us. I think everything we've ever experienced. I think everything that we're going to experience affects the present. I really think that, you can, that's why I find it hard to, when somebody says something like, leave home at home and leave work at work. I find
Mm-hmm.
that really hard to be, I find that hard. I struggle to understand that because, you're the same person. It's not like you're switching, it's not like you
Mm-hmm.
can switch one part of you off at some point in time. So yeah, if you've experienced something in a day, and an hour later, if it's still on your mind, yeah, it's going to affect you.
So the answer in energy psychology circles has to do with the past is not here. So what is
Hmm.
taking place is our current internalization or integration of a past memory or experiences. What we've done is we've taken it all in. The brain takes absolutely everything in. Our entire lifespan is constantly recording everything in the moment all the time and in the past. But we aren't in the past. In the present, which is why EFT is in the present type of modality, is that we are accessing how we've integrated the information in our system, in our minds, in our thoughts that are connected to thoughts about an experience. We're like a computer. We're human computers, although we were here first, and we've integrated the information into certain files of memory. And so when we work on tapping or other energy modalities, we're accessing how we've taken in the past. So it is true, we've had a past and a lot of experiences inform us, but in the world of energy work, energy psychology in particular, it's about the present is how we've taken it in and how we're dealing with what we've done with it in terms of a memory, aspects of the memory, things that it evokes in us in the present. So that's the sort of trick question when they ask us that, is that we've
Hmm.
all had past and we all hopefully will have future, but what we've taken in is in this moment. And that's why a lot of exploration goes on in EFT. What are you experiencing in your body on a scale of 0 to 10? How activated are you? What are your thoughts about this memory? What are your the sounds you hear, the visions you might envision in your mind? So you're doing a lot of exploration about how now they perceive the event or the circumstance they want to work on.
Okay, yeah, I completely understand what you're saying there. I've been through other trainings where they do work on that, and that is a really, really good point. Um, but you have to be you have to be able to let things, is it let things go, or is it put things into perspective?
In terms of what you work on in
Yeah,
energy work?
in terms of what we were just talking about. I had something that happened to me in the past. Do I need to let that go, or do I need to put it into perspective?
If it's a major trauma, since what you do is you've taken it in. But usually, when you have something that's an event that's traumatic, whether it's we call it big T or little t traumas. Big T traumas are major events that are very significant and very impacting extremely in the moment. That can be that it's an individual big T trauma, or it can be a more global one, such as 9/11 or wars or explosions in the battlefield. But your own big T trauma can be, if you don't mind me suggesting about the accident you had. So
Yeah, yeah.
basically, at the moment that we have an experience like that, more often than not, we don't have the resources in that moment because it's so overwhelming to handle everything about it in that moment. So what happens is our very intelligent systems take it in, keep it somewhere and file it away as it's horrible, it's terrible, I'm frightened, I'm overwhelmed, but I can't handle it in this moment. So I'm putting it somewhere. And that's in your system. It's a very esoteric concept in your system, but it's the mind, body, spirit system of what all of us have. We keep the information. So over time, you can process how severe that trauma was by experiences like EFT, where you explore it gently, but you ask about parts of it. You break it down. So as you break it down into sequences of small parts of the memory or the experience, you're able to deal with each small increment. And as you deal with each one, you're helping to, well, usually the concept is of a larger, the iceberg above the water. As you take away the bottom parts that are supporting an iceberg, it'll go lower, lower, lower. It's just this idea of breaking it down into smaller pieces, dealing with each small piece. And so what happens is you don't have to forget it. You have taken it and reconfigured it into what it means for you. It doesn't have to be as activating, as upsetting, as frightening, or causing aversion to other things, meaning an aversion to maybe driving or an aversion to something else, moving a certain way because it hurts. You learn to, your system's also learning. I've already dealt with that portion of it, that portion of it, that portion of it. So you don't have to forget it and go forward without dealing with it because you can't really do that. People try to do that, but that's where it ends up with something that's trying to numb the experience, whether it's chemically based or
Hmm.
distraction based. So then they're not really ever taking the essence of it and it keeps showing up. Usually props its head up again in different circumstances. Hey, I'm still here. You haven't dealt with it. And people live their whole lives like that. They don't deal with something really huge, but the better they deal with it for themselves, they can function in a more free way. Plus, the people around them start to feel the difference. And they feel things in our field too. People that are close to us, people that work with us, they sense something and then they act in like planets. They walk, they go around like, I'm going to avoid that, or I'm going to avoid saying that, or doing that around this person because I know it gets them upset. So other people are affected by us not going through the sorting and examining. And you have to go through it to get to the other side. You can't go over it, around it. We all try, but it still stays until we process it. So I don't know if I really answered your question, but
Yeah,
I
yeah,
tried.
yeah. And what I was really trying to get out there is it's not a good idea for people to come into this to think that you need to forget about what you've been through, because just forgetting about it is, and I like the way that you made the statement that that's the wrong thing to do because you haven't dealt with it,
Well,
and
not so
if you,
about the wrong, it's like a way that's going to stay longer. It'll stay longer
right.
if you don't try to process it. And you need to go through it to process it like any hard thing. because then it stays with you as a huge, usually painful or debilitating block. And then you can feel so much better. People don't like the part where you have to go through it, but that's important because if you never go through it, you can't feel better. And if you go through it, you will feel better, but you need to go through it to feel better. But EFT is so gentle that it doesn't escalate a person into the active state they were in when the trauma occurred. That's one reason it's such a beneficial therapy, is its gentleness. And that's one way that it was actually chosen and designed by the person who founded it, Gary Craig. He was an engineer. Gary Craig was an engineer and noticed there was another therapy out there, thought field therapy, that was similar to tapping, but much more complex, meaning that there were versions of what to do in every certain emotion. There'd be a whole other set of tapping locations and rounds based on a certain emotion. And what would happen is it was so complex, most people were either overwhelmed by it, clinicians as well. But then he noticed that there were just certain basic points, which I can describe today too, that most of the time you felt movement in your energy, but you didn't feel re-traumatized for the original reason that you're doing the tapping.
You mentioned earlier, and since we're getting to the origins of this, which is really kind of funny that you went there because that's exactly my next question. But what you mentioned earlier, there is a little bit of the from out east. There's
Eastern medicine?
well, right, Eastern medicine or Eastern philosophy in this. Can
Mm-hmm.
you explain what they took from out east and how he mixed this into tapping itself?
Well, Chinese medicine is what it used to always be called, but now more often than not is referred to as Eastern, the Eastern hemisphere of our planet. And they have always used methods for thousands of years that have to do with energy centers, blocked energy. Acupuncture is the closest thing I can explain that we usually offer people. Have you ever had acupuncture? And some will say yes, some will say no, or they'll know what it is. I said, well, acupuncturists use needles in certain areas of the body called meridian points, and that's how they help shift the energy that might be blocked about a certain situation in your energy field, your emotions, your physical pain. They try to calibrate through those needles how to assist in that. So tapping does it through tapping, not needles, and it's all self-administered. And the meridian points that have been specified with a basic recipe and also an extended recipe of what to tap on are always touching every meridian in the body through the parts they're touching. So even though an acupuncturist does very refined points, through the meridian points that we do in the general recipe or the basic recipe and extended recipe, we're usually reaching most points in the body. And so that was how it translated into Western culture more, but Roger Callahan, who did the thought field therapy, he had a very complex system, which is fine. Some people really like the specificity of a certain tapping sequence, works for a certain emotional state. But when Gary Craig realized, because he had an engineer's mind, and he recently passed a few months ago, but he was the founder of EFT, he just realized, oh, the same changes are possible, but with a streamlined approach of where to tap. So that's how it sort of funneled into what we do now in emotional freedom techniques.
Okay. And can you go on ahead and maybe share with us some examples of some tapping?
Sure. Well, first, I know you're going to, I put there a chart of the basic recipe of tapping. The reason it's called basic, it's because it's from the waist up points. There are certain extended points that I can also show on a future, episode that involve if you're more escalated and more in need of more extensive movement of the energy. There are some other points that involve the humming, counting, humming, etc., and finger touching points and eye movement. So what I will do now is just say the basic points. So they're very simple, and we use our fingertips. So the first point, I'm not sure if the chart specifies top of head, but there's a top of head point. Meridian points are what we're touching, and meridian points are the energy center points on the surface of our skin that help release through our systems the blocked energy. So we'll start with the top of the head. We use 3 fingers so that we make sure we touch the meridian on our bodies. And so people often ask, how long should they tap on average when they're beginning? I'd say 5 to 7 times. It's self-intuitive when you start to know the process that you want to stay on a certain point as long as you want. The next area is the inner brow, where the brows meet the nose, but on the very end of that,
And do we focus in that area, Aviva? Do we focus on like the eyeball itself or up on the bone inside the
just, well,
eyebrow?
the eyebrow one is just the end of the eyebrow.
Okay.
The side of eye is next. The side of eye is a tricky point because some people think it's the temple, especially when they do it virtually, but
Right.
it's the side of eye where one finger is sort of in the soft area of the corner of the eye, not poking your eye, but touching it a little bit. And then the other finger is on the bone that's the corner of the eye. So it's a gentle side of eye, corner of eye point. The next one is under the nose, which is easy to find because we have that crevice under our nose. So under the nose. And then this point is under the bottom lip, but it's called the chin point, even though the chin's here, it's called the chin point. And then there's 2 points that are the chest points. Excuse me, you find them by finding this round area of the bones ending. About an inch diagonally down is a soft indentation area. That's called the chest point. Because they're two, you do both sides if you can. Eventually, people can tap with one side only while they're doing something else with their other hand, like taking notes for themselves. But for now, it's good to learn. And the last point on the upper body is called side of ribs. And on a female, it's usually the bottom line of the bra line. On a man, you put your hand under your underarm. It's where your pinky would land. So it's the side of rib.
Okay. And so on that one there, of course, it's like I'm a bigger guy, so it's really hard to do both
Some
of those at
people,
once.
they do either both sides or they put one arm across
Yeah.
and just do one side. Right.
Yeah. With my neck problems, it's easier to do the one across.
And
Next
with
neck
the
problems in the size of my chest.
neck problems also when there's an extended part of the recipe where there's some eye movements, it might be hard. And so there are alternatives for almost every tapping point. Now, some people don't like the sensation of physical tapping, so they can just push a little bit on the points when they're making their rounds. And along with touching the tapping rounds, there's usually reminder phrases of what their experience is, which I coach people through depending on what they're working on. So let's say they're working with some kind of physical discomfort. So reminder phrases mean, that heat that's radiating through my arm, or that tingling that's in my wrist, that soreness that's in my back. So what happens is you're saying things as we're tapping so that it helps you be in the energy field of the experience. And that's one reason that it's approaching the energy from different angles. The physical release through the meridian tapping, the awareness of symptoms or aspects of what you're going through, so that you're totally in dual awareness, and that helps reconfigure what you're trying to work on. So
Are
those are
you,
the basic recipe
yeah,
points.
are you saying these words? Are you saying these words kind of keep track of what you're doing, keep your mind focused on what you're doing, and less of like a chant or what's the word I'm looking for?
Mantra,
Mantra. Yeah. Is it more of just making
it's
sure you're doing
awareness.
what you're doing?
It's
Yeah.
about awareness. See, before you do all the tapping rounds, there's something called the setup statement, which is also on that chart, the side of hand. On that chart, it might say karate chop point, but it's side of hand. And that's said before all the tapping takes place. And that point really helps with the discernment of what you're going to work on, whether you're saying it verbally or your system is just knowing that it's in a certain state. It can help just focus the mind and the body on, we're working on this. And when I say you don't have to say anything, very often if we're highly anxious right in the moment, we may not even want to talk out loud. We just may want to tap.
Hmm.
So the first time I ever realized how helpful this was at a traffic light that was not changing at all, and people were behaving badly about the lights not changing in all four parts of the intersection. So I just took a
Yeah.
moment to just did some tapping about my escalated tension so that I could be a safer driver in that circumstance. But I didn't have to say out loud, even though people are behaving badly and the light's not changing and I have impatience about getting where I'm going. My system knew that. and your system knows everything. It's a very vast intelligence of what's going on. But the reason phrases help when you do this clinically is you're really breaking down parts of something in the memories, the parts of memories. But in the moment, like I think we're trying to help your community understand is accessible to them at any time. You don't have to speak about what you're going through. If you feel dysregulated, which means you feel off center in any way, it can mean that you're feeling frightened, anxious, tearful, grief stricken, scared. Even though frightened and scared sound similar, they have nuances to them to people about what the differences are. Then you just know, your body knows how to help you start to calm down. And the reason that's so important is when your nervous system is not in fight, flight, or freeze mode, you have more access to ways that you can go more slowly, how you can problem solve, how you can look at it a different way. The system is very intelligent. You want to help it not be in that alert state, because the alert state blinds us, because what it's trying to do is preserve us from danger. So of course it shuts down our thinking brain, and it shuts down the sense of calm because adrenaline is pumping. But once we start to let our body know you're safe and I need to calm down to function, then all the other parts start to show up.
Okay, these are very, very gentle taps. These are not, you're not trying to put an abundance of pressure anywhere, but there is a possibility of something going wrong. And what happens, what should people be looking for if something's not feeling right? What are some of the things that they one should do, and what are some of the things that they need to look out for?
Meaning when they're tapping?
Yes, yeah.
Well, some people don't like the sensation of tapping. They find it too stimulating for their skin, for their nervous system as well. So you just encourage, there are options. There's options of just touching the points gently.
Hmm.
And there's also options of imagining touching the points. And this is recommended at times by people that either don't want to do the tapping in a visible way, or they just aren't feeling like they just want to do all the touching and tapping. So I have my own personal example of needing a blood pressure reading to be a little lower, wanting it to be because my doctor was very critical, which of course made it even up.
Yeah, yeah.
I said, can you just give me a minute or two? Luckily, he allowed for that and talked about something else. And then I did an internal visualization of tapping. And in that visualization of tapping, I also intended, I want to bring my pressure down. My pressure's not as high as he's saying. I hope my reading goes down. And so 10 minutes later, when he took it again, it had gone down significantly. And he said, well, what did you just do? And I tried to explain, and this also answers your question about how to explain to people that don't understand. And he was a modern doctor, but he was trained in Western medicine, allopathic care, where everything is usually treated, usually, not always. They're becoming more open to other complementary ways of helping yourself. But medicine or losing the weight or, and more exercise, but not self-regulation, self-regulation. So I tried to explain it. He really didn't understand what I meant, but he said, if it worked for you, that's wonderful. So, and that was a small bit of opening up to it, but not significant. Although that's over 10 years ago, I know there's more discussion in
Yeah.
programs about complementary care, like massages and exercise and yoga and EFT and other modalities that are sort of not technically giving a pill, but they also take into account reducing your stress, going slower, Tai Chi and all those. Go slower, go slower. Slower is the big operative word here about most stress.
And yeah, that really comes back to the conversation we've been having for the last couple of weeks on many of my shows, that everything right now is go 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 go, and that's just not good for you at all. You've got to slow down, and you've got to take action when it comes to your own health, and so anything slower is going to take, and you're going to be able to breathe through stuff. Breathing is so important in this, correct?
It ends up being that your breathing becomes much more relaxed, much more easeful and fuller breaths. There is a whole exercise in EFT about constricted breathing to help people reverse that feeling. But in general, it's important to keep in mind with energy work, because energy is finite, but it changes forms. That's the way energy is understood. So if you keep push, 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 excuse me, you're taking away the reserves. There are no reserves left. So if you're always going fast and pushing, you're going to end up crashing because there's nothing left. Your battery. You have to
Yeah.
recharge the battery by sleep, by nutrition, but also by stepping away from very dysregulating, upsetting experiences and things, if especially if you have a choice, which brings us into the whole idea about social media and news, going on restricted plans sometimes just to not take all of it in at once. Because there's a message out there, take it all in, keep it on 24/7, keep looking at it. And that's how it's designed. And that in itself can just keep you escalated. And then you can crash from exhaustion and depletion.
Yeah. Um, what are some things that where this is all brand new to a lot of people? What are some things that people can start doing from now until our next episode, which is going to come up in a month? What are some things that people can do to really start to learn a little bit more about these techniques
Hmm.
and also learn a little bit more, and I think one of the reasons why I like this technique so much is it really teaches you about yourself.
Hmm.
It really teaches you about and how you're going to react to this.
Well, first, I know you'll have the chart available. People can look through just the tapping points and just try to do them themselves, just at any moment. I haven't taught yet how to talk about, presenting circumstance and how to address that with reminder phrases, which will be the next portion that we record. So what I suggest first is just getting familiar with the tapping points. There's also a way to learn a little bit more about it by some links I can offer that you might be able to put into the information about the
Yeah.
episode, where you can learn a little bit more about it. But the most important thing is don't try to get the whole picture at once. Like anything else, take small steps, take small dosages of learning something so new. And they can also reach out to me and I will teach them about specific issues they want to work on, how to get addressing that through EFT that is sequential and step by step and clinically based, but through the idea of palliative, which is in the moment care for stress. Just practice it. If you're just feeling a little bit off center one day, just tap any number of times and it just is repeated. It's a sequence. You repeat it over and over until you check in with yourself after a few rounds, see how you're feeling, notice what you're feeling. And you might notice one of the first things people do say, my shoulders are more relaxed, my breathing is more relaxed. I'm feeling a little bit drowsy sometimes, but that means you've let down that nervous system bracing. Yes, that's part of energy movement is you're going to not be as tense.
Yeah. You did mention reach out to you, Aviva. How do people get a hold of you?
They can reach me through my website, which is my name, www.avivachansky-gutman, no spaces.com. And the very helpful Z has made that beautiful website that everybody can access. There's also a place where they can sign up for any future emails I send out through my email blasts that have to do with upcoming workshops and things like that. And also they can reach me through LinkedIn and they can reach me through my Facebook business page. And that's the best way to get started.
And of course, you can also you can find all this information if you visit her landing page on Community Pay It Forward. If you would like an introduction to Aviva, I encourage you to please get a hold of me and I will make that introduction happen. Aviva, before we end this first recording, and I know we went a little bit longer than we were planning on it, but that is quite okay.
Mm-hmm.
You heard something last week on our show with Lynn on Lynn's Day when we were discussing relationships, and you being a licensed Imaga therapist,
Imago. Mm-hmm.
Imago therapist, you wanted to say something about that. Can you?
Yeah, sure. I wanted to clarify because I know it was totally in humor and banter discussion about what a traditional couples therapy session would be like. And there was some inference about, which happens a lot in couples therapy, is that they try to get the therapist to take a side or make a decision about who's bad, who's right, who's wrong. Isn't he horrible? Isn't she terrible? In Imago relationship therapy, we don't have any such thing because it's structured in a very safe, dialogical way. We have an exercise at every session called the Imago Dialogue. And the whole intention is that you keep people in a structure of safety where they actually have certain rules we've asked of them, and that's the reason they're there, is to get the situation to be improved between them, where they are not allowed to shame, blame, or complain. They're not allowed to have negativity during the dialogue. The dialogue is an exercise in connection of active listening, empathy, and validation. And it's very helpful to have those components because that's not what usually takes place in most conversations between most people, but also people aren't intentional in how they speak with each other. But after imago therapy, and when people have mastered the aspects of the therapy itself, it does get carried over into their regular life as well, to be more actively listening, to offer more validation that makes sense. And the reason it makes sense that you said that is, and not to judge and to have empathy for the person's experience. And the reason I wanted to just discuss it briefly is because the preconceived notion about couples therapy is this very negative experience that people have seen in the movies and on television or experienced themselves, where 9 times out of 10, if somebody's come to see me after the regular traditional couples therapy, which can be very unstructured. So somebody not comfortable with working with couples may do it and not be comfortable in the position, but they can get triangulated into that experience of couples saying, hey, what about what I say? Don't you think he's wrong? That's very easy in human nature to happen when you have three. And what happens in Imago, the intention is already from the beginning. That won't be taking place. The clinician is the orchestrator of the dialogue, keeps people in structure and safety. When they're that safe together, a lot can happen because they feel safe enough to say their deepest, most vulnerable experiences and feelings, and the other person's agreeing to listen to that without judgment. That in itself is a huge healing aspect, and that's why I'm a Imago therapist. I wanted to be one because that was what I had not seen in most of my close relationships up until becoming one. And when I became one, I started to gravitate more toward what do I want in relationships? What do I need in relationships? And that's one reason I love doing it, is because that's what couples end up deciphering through the process. What do they want? How can they find it? Why are they in the one that, or why are they accepting something that's not helping them feel valued? But they work it through if they're committed, and some don't, but they're really there to enhance how they understand each other. So that's just a little response to the misconception that all couples therapy could be bad.
Well, and this is something I meant to end this recording after that question, but this one just popped up, and I think this is also something that's really important. Aviva, can people who have a good relationship, can they go in for family, for counseling? And do we have to wait until there's a problem to go see a counselor? And what are the benefits of saying, you know what, we've got a great relationship. There's no such thing as a perfect relationship. We've got a great relationship. Maybe we should go and make sure we're being proactive on working through anything that we may come up with.
Well, what happens is sometimes the angle at which people arrive to the therapy sometimes is based on a generational uh, perspective. I find generally younger clients have been more aware almost all their lives as adults, which isn't that long yet, but they've been aware of working something through, talking more openly, wanting to do preventive care for their relationships. So I've had people come before they're married. I've had people come when they're just married. I've had people come because there's a baby now and they didn't understand their relationship would change and dynamic, but they're just a little disoriented by that and they want to help keep it healthy for all of them. Then I've had people that go to the workshops that I assist at. I'm a clinical assistant often at Omega Institute for Harville Hendricks and his wife Helen LaKelly Hunt, who are the founders of Imago Therapy. And so I've been through at least 20 of their workshops to watch the process, know it by heart, but also we end up getting people that come from those workshops as referrals because they like what they learned at the workshop and they want to keep going with what they've learned and how it made them feel after being there. So I have that. It's all ranges and all ages and all reasons. And I've also had adult children and their parents about caregiving concerns or end of life care concerns or sibling rivalry issues as adults. These people are in close relationships, so they're coming to see how they can feel more connected and understand each other better.
Yeah, oh, I'll tell you. You said it and instantly the first thing that came into my mind is, God, I wish I would have done that. But when my first son was born, if I would have had a little bit of a more of a clue on what I could have done to relax myself and
Hmm.
not bring pent up energy and anxiety as a father. I was very young. I was 22 when my son was born, so I was still very young and very, inexperienced in life. And
Hmm.
that's such a great idea to come in and talk to somebody prior to a baby coming into life, because yeah, there are drastic changes that happen as soon as that, wonderful changes,
Hmm.
but they are drastic changes that if you're just not ready for, they could make a substantial difference in your relationship.
I've had a couple married over 40 years come for sessions because not that they're having actively fighting, but of all the things they didn't openly express, trying to keep peace that were really pushing through. I'd like you to, like the wife, she wouldn't express something very important to her, thinking it's better not to. It keeps the peace, it makes him happy. But she needed to express this safely. So the safety of being able to say something that's been on her mind a very long time, and the husband's willingness to listen to it and make a little bit of an adjustment in their relationship for her to be happier made a phenomenal difference. Because like any energy work, as it is energy work as well in the relationship, when one shift happens, other shifts start to happen at the same time because you're moving something. So that's the beauty, is that when you move an obstacle or a pattern that's not necessarily working, then all the healthier things try to come in around that.
Wow. Well, Um, I think that we've got a lot to think about. I would like to ask you before we uh, press the pause button on this episode, is there anything else that we haven't talked about that you would like to make sure that you get out there for this first conversation?
Just basically the most beneficial thing anybody can do when they're looking to feel better is to be open to that there is more than one way,
Yeah.
and let me try something else, and especially trying something that doesn't involve something major like a chemical yeah, reaction to a drug you might get. Um, it's something to try where the adverse reactions to EFT are only sometimes maybe confusion about I'm feeling a little elevated or escalated. What do I do with that feeling? But in that case, you're not going to feel traumatized because your system in EFT doesn't let you get to the full traumatic experience. It lets you have aspects of it that you are ready to see. So then having a clinician there also helps with that. So if somebody's feeling a little, because you sometimes will feel a little bit more upset before you feel a little bit better, but that's normal. That's really normal. Like if we have an incision on a wound, it looks great that the doctor took care of it, but he had to stitch it, and the next day there's swelling and pain from the swelling and pain. So it's healing though. It's just getting a little erupted because it's been exposed and it's been worked on, but it has to heal. So that's the analogy of, that I can say it's like that, similar to that.
And people should not people should not rush to any conclusion after trying this for the first time. This is going to be like anything else. It's going to take a little bit of time to get into a rhythm. It's going to take a little bit of time for it to feel comfortable, right? Because you're going to
Mhm.
be doing something that, look, let's be honest, not a lot of us have, done this program before. So it's going to take a little bit of time to, maybe master is a bad way of stating it, but being proficient in this method.
Yes, there's ways to do it as self-care, but I highly recommend having someone guide you in the beginning for how to do it for self-care, a few sessions with myself to help a person learn what to do and how to do it so that they also become more proficient at the points. Once you memorize the points, you don't think about where they are. You just start doing them on your tapping rounds. And that in itself takes away that part. So the learning part, the brain's just on automatic pilot for that. The rest is the issue. What is it? How am I experiencing that issue? What am I feeling in my body? What are my thoughts about it? That can get more attention than where do I tap?
This is perfect. One more time, how do they get a hold of you?
They can get a hold of me, well, through your community pay it forward page that you're mentioning. All the contact information is on that, and also my website, which Mr. Z designed from the World Wide Webs, and he's excellent, by the way. Uh, it's www and my full name, Aviva Chansky Gutman, with no uh, parts between the names, just all the way through. And so that's the way today.
Yep. Well, um, I loved it. Our first show is ready to go. So we're excited about that. And you are going to be joining us every month. You're going to be joining us the third Wednesday of every month at this time. And eventually we want to get to where we are potentially doing this live so you can come on and ask questions. Until we go live, if you have any questions, send them to us and I will ask Aviva during the recording, or you can also get a hold of us and maybe you can join us during the next recording. This is, look, we're open books. This is about how we can help you and you can help others. That's our goal with this. It's the simplicity is the beauty in this, but the simplicity and the effectiveness is the bonus. So, Aviva, I greatly appreciate it, and I want to thank you so very much. I hope you liked your first show.
Thank you.
All
I
right.
did. Enjoyed it very much.
We will be back.
Hi, friends, it's me, Barry, and today I get to share something truly special with you. Our friends at Dignified Dementia have given us a beautifully crafted fleece-lined blanket. It is soft. It is comforting. It is made with the kind of care that reminds every family they are not alone. And that is only the beginning. We have also been gifted a powerful and magical book set from Erin Anatavi, complete with a hand-painted wand she designed herself. It honors the truth that one size does not fit all. On May 6th, we will spin the wheel of giving. Every dollar you donate is one placement on the wheel. $1, one chance, one act of kindness that helps us bring the Come Together compass to life. Your support guides families to the help they need. Your generosity keeps our mission moving forward. Your kindness makes you a hero in someone's story. So join me. Donate today. Let's fill the wheel of giving and bring comfort, magic, and hope to families everywhere. Hey friends, I've been thinking, we all have our strengths, right? There are things I'm great at and things I'm definitely not great at. I can talk to anyone, anywhere, but ask me to add something to a website or an app. Yeah, that's where things get a little messy. Oops, I love speaking, I love sharing stories. But social media, all those hashtags, algorithms, trends, that's a jungle I still haven't mapped out. Now, coming up with ideas that bring people together, that's my sweet spot. But bookkeeping, let's just say numbers, and I have agreed to stay in separate corners. And you know what? That's okay, because someone out there is good at those things. And when we work together, that's when the magic happens. Community Pay It Forward has never been about one person. It's a program built by many to support even more. Every single one of us brings something special to the table. We all have talents that make us strong on our own. But imagine how powerful we become when we combine them. That's the heart of Community Pay It Forward. Your skills, my skills, our hearts, working side by side to make a real difference. So tell me, what are you good at? Let's discover it together. Visit communitypayitforward.us and join the movement.
Bring me home, out alone, to show me the way. You wanna hold the heart of Sunset Boulevard. Bring me here, 'cause it's not quite clear to be a part of Sunset Boulevard.